We're learning Democrat Graham Platner reportedly shared sexually explicit messages with multiple women in the early days of his marriage. His wife flagged the text to a campaign aide last year as a potential liability for him. Platner has faced significant controversy over a series of offensive online posts that he has since apologized for, and for a tattoo widely recognized as a Nazi symbol that he has since covered up.
He obviously has presented himself as an oyster farmer, but then the financial disclosures come out and it shows that, his income comes from disability, and that the oyster farm that he works on doesn't really make much money and often is supplying his mom's restaurant. You also have that, he introduced himself as a working class Mainer. He, at one point went to Hotchkiss prep school. He said that he got a $200,000 loan from the VA for his first house. Then it comes out that actually, his dad loaned him the money. He obviously is presenting.
The problem is his judgment, which he clearly has been lacking in as an adult. It's one thing to have foolish, youthful indiscretions, but I'm sorry, you cannot get past. It is not a Nazi-style tattoo. It is the tattoo of concentration camp guards. It is the very worst tattoo you can get if you are getting anything Nazi, and that's a pretty high bar there. So this has been a slow-motion train wreck ever since that tattoo and knowledge of it hit the world, and it's only going to get worse. These texts, there are multiple women. Are all those women going to keep their mouths shut from now until Election Day? What do you think, Lauren?
We got to talk some more about Mr. Graham Platner from the state of Maine, Democrat nominee in the state of Maine, running against Republican Susan Collins, okay? Rhino Susan Collins, but we got to elect Susan Collins. So if you live in Maine, let's support Susan Collins. We got to talk about Graham Platner because, as you heard there, the skeletons are crawling out of his closet and they're being talked about everywhere. Everywhere. Some folks are choosing to speak negatively of him, right? As you just heard there in a couple of those clips. And some Democrats are choosing to dance around the question, like Chris Murphy here, which is quite interesting because he didn't have... I'll just roll the clip. You'll see.
I think it's hard to just say everybody should be good and moral. I think you've got to create a set of rules that promote goodness, promote the common good. And that's what this book is really about.
Should those rules apply to Democrats too? I mean, do you support Graham Platner even in the wake of all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't followed the minute by minute of what's happened over the last few days, but I do think there's a difference. I think it's hard.
Interesting, Chris. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. But a lot of Democrats are taking that type of stance where they dance around it or don't really answer the question at all. And then there's a couple of them, like, geez Louise. It's not Bill. I totally had a brain fart there. I could see the guy's face, and now I'm just like, it's not even Bernie Sanders. Goodness gracious. Like Bernie Sanders is completely defending his endorsement of a guy like Graham Platner by just, you making up a bunch of excuses. Oh, well, American people care more about groceries and gas prices and everything else is what he had to say. But I want to play this clip from The View because The View talked about this topic of discussion, and I want to get into it because it's quite interesting what they had to say. Check it out.
The report isn't true. Now, who knows? But as I was looking at this, I just thought, no shade, gentlemen. But it just feels like y'all are out of control.
I know.
Every time we turn around, somebody got somebody else up against the wall, in the bed, what is happening? I mean...
But I think we feel like that because also this has... Like this year, we have seen a lot of out-of-control men, right? Men
don't
gone
forget
wild.
the one at the top.
Well, that's true. The one they all voted for, all those Bible-clutching Christians voted for the guy who we all heard boast about sexual assault on video and tape. But forget that. Just in the last few months, we've dealt with the Eric Swalwell scandal, which was horrible, and with the scumbag from Texas, what was his name, Tony Gonzalez, the Republican who was having the affair with his staffer. That was horrible. There is no doubt that this guy, Platner, is flawed in many ways. This is different than the Eric Swalwell thing so far, because no women have come forward that I know of or that have been reported. We haven't seen the sex like we did with Swalwell, but it is disturbing and it is horrible. And why can't we do better? Why can't we have better candidates? Why do we have to have Ken Paxton in Texas, who has got baggage that it's not even baggage, it's steamer trunks of ethical questions around him? It's just kind of sad.
What a lot of Democrats are arguing is that the path to Democrats taking back the Senate runs through Maine and winning this seat where he's the nominee. And what I would say as a Republican who sadly watched the quality of candidates we've chosen to put in office or to run diminish over the last decade, I'll tell you it's not worth it. It's not worth compromising your morals and values and integrity. To be honest, his sexting is the least of my concerns with this
that's
guy.
what I thought.
Graham Platner trashed a Purple Heart recipient, said he didn't deserve to live, defamed fallen Navy SEAL Chris Kyle, downplayed how hard it is to report sexual assault in the military, repeatedly used anti-gay slurs and homophobic posts as recently as 2021, called himself an avowed communist, and has a Nazi tattoo for 20 years that he's since covered up. This guy just seems like a guy of not very good character. And there are a lot of options in this country. And by the way, there are other paths for Democrats to win. Just win a different state. You need 4 seats. Look at Alaska. Look at Iowa. Look at Texas. Don't die on the hill of a guy who is going to be a headache for you for years to come.
And not to make this political, because I'm usually not the one that does that, but watching that video of the wife saying, you know, don't spend energy on these ads. The problem with these ads is they are true. These accusations are true. What they're doing to James Tallarico in Texas are calling him things that he isn't. That's where you don't spend energy is on.
Well, actually, James Tallarico is 100% exactly what the ads are accusing him of being, which is a liar, one, trying to portray that he is some sort of moderate candidate is a bold-faced lie. It's a 100% a lie. And he's been called out for it and tried to backtrack, but I've showed you guys the clips, right, of him saying some of these things, like switching over his whole entire campaign to vegan only, and then him saying, oh no, I'm a meat eater, but you literally said that you weren't going to eat meat and nobody on your campaign was going to eat meat. You guys were going vegan, but you say that you eat meat. How does that make any sense? So which one is it? You know, I showed y'all the clip. So he is 100% a liar, 100% a fake and a fraud. That stuff is not a lie. It's not a lie. And it's easy to prove. Very, very easy to prove. But you hear the slights that they're throwing at Graham Platner. So we'll see what else they have to say.
False information, but on this I would argue you tell it like it is. This is a character flaw. This isn't Platner has said, you know, he did it in form. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I've changed. This is a problem. The Purple Heart recipient, by the way, the video he insulted was a man who took fire to save his team. And he said, this stupid guy should have died. It's only because they didn't have good aim that he's here. If you were capable of saying that at any time in your life, you've shown me who you are, and I heard you. This man should be nowhere near Congress. We've already got a wealth of people we need out. We're not sending one like this in.
Hey, that is something that I 100% agree with, right? We have a wealth of individuals in D.C. that, for lack of a better term, are absolutely terrible. I wanted to say something else, but they're absolutely terrible, and they need to be voted out. And we have voted a lot of them out already, right? That laundry list of familiar faces in D.C. is getting a lot shorter, okay? A lot shorter because, you know, even on the Democrat side, you got people like Nancy Pelosi and Jerry Nadler that are not going to be in D.C. any longer following this term, right? And then on our side, you've got rhinos like Mitch McConnell, the famous Mitch McConnell, who will not be in D.C. much longer. So that is beautiful, but like she said, we got a lot more individuals that we need to vote out as well, okay? John Thune being the biggest of them all, right? I know y'all hear me talk about this all the time, but I'm telling you, I literally might celebrate. Like, seriously, when John Thune is voted out in 2028, when he loses his primary, that is going to be such an amazing moment. I can't wait. I really can't wait.
I am conflicted.
Thank you.
I am conflicted. They asked Cory Booker how he felt about this because I think all the allegations are true. The sexting with other women while married is definitely true because his wife is the person that gave the messages to his campaign to give them a heads up. Yeah. So the fact now that he's saying that part is messages.
Not true, I think she said she told
them
campaign
but
we haven't seen messages.
But she disclosed it.
Right. Yeah,
so why would she lie about that? So that part is true. He's also made racist remarks against African Americans. So he's a cheater. He's an anti-Semite because the fact that he had that tattoo for 20 years and didn't know what it was is a lie. So he's a liar, a racist, an anti-Semite.
Homophobe.
He's a homophobe. Yeah. So he's all the things. And character does matter. But we have someone
There's the but. You knew it was coming with Sunny Hostin. Of course, as always. You knew the but was coming when it comes to Sunny Hostin. So I'm going to let her finish. Check it out.
Someone that has almost unbridled power in the White House at this point. There are no checks and balances. And the only way that we can maybe...
There are checks and balances, right? Your balancing or your check is John Thune. It's John Thune. The lowest amount of bills passed in modern history. Modern history. Your checks and balances fall at John Thune's feet. He is your check and your balance, okay? So I don't know what she's talking about. Trump isn't able to just do whatever it is that he wants to do. He can't appoint anybody and everybody that he wants to. John Thune is slow rolling that as well. Okay, 100%. So there you have it, John Thune. But don't worry, Sunny Hostin. John Thune won't be in D.C. much longer. Come 2028, he will be voted out as well, along with Lisa Murkowski.
Bring a bit of our democracy back is by having a Congress that functions and that has these checks and balances. And I do think one of the only ways is to win that seat in Maine. And so like Cory Booker said, this is a concern, but our country is in grave
There are other paths
peril.
And they don't have to go through Maine.
We'll see what happens, but these are character flaws that I'm tired of hearing about.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm tired of it. I'm just like, just keep it in your pants. Just stop being stupid.
Oh,
you know?
I need to add that he said that he sent the racist things because he was suffering from PTSD from his tour in Afghanistan.
Right.
I know a lot of soldiers that have PTSD that aren't racist.
Yeah.
Listen,
So you're willing to vote for a racist because you hate Trump? A guy that you accuse of being racist himself, but you just said you would vote for a racist, basically. Trump derangement, boy, I tell you, it's something else. It's got these people all over the place. Sunny Hostin is like the first person to accuse Trump of being a racist, right? She loves to throw out, all types of negative stuff on Trump, but literally just said that she would vote for a knowing racist. I'm confused. Anybody else confused? Because I'm confused. My goodness. You can't make this stuff up. You really can't. But as you saw there, Democrat Party is in a bit of a pickle. This whole part of them are completely against a guy like Graham Platner and, whatever it takes to win type of mentality or strategy. Some Democrats like Sunny Hostin just don't care and are going to or would vote for the guy anyway, regardless of his past and who he genuinely is, which you heard it right out of her own mouth. She said it herself. How terrible of a person he is, but she can still vote for him. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one turns out. I have seen that Graham Platner is projected to win right now, which is a bit concerning. It's a bit concerning. in my humble opinion. I think we as Republicans we've got to do better. Okay, we've got to do better. We got to strategize a bit more when it comes to this type of stuff, because I understand people being frustrated with somebody like Susan Collins, but at the end of the day, it's Susan Collins or Graham Platner. Which one would you prefer? Okay, I would 100% take Susan Collins over Graham Platner any day of the week, rhino or not. She's much better than Graham Platner. Okay, so sometimes you got to do some things you really don't like vote for a rhino, but it's better than the alternative. And in the meantime, in between time, we can work on getting somebody, some name recognition that could primary Susan Collins, that could genuinely win in Maine. It's going to be tough because Maine is just one of those iffy kind of states, but that's going to take some time. So for right now, we got to get Susan Collins back in there. But as always, y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.